All right, people of the internet, this is the Actual Friends podcast. And oh my, there's a lot of interesting things to talk about today. First off, you may note that we are missing one box here. We normally have 4 boxes. Mr. Russell Brand, you're not going to believe this. Russell Brand, the most coordinated, calendar-tight person that I know, got the time zones confused. And I think maybe he will be joining us from his phone in the car in a little bit. So move over, Russell Brand. We have an A-lister, ladies and gentlemen, a Hollywood legend. Now a woman who lives in the middle of nowhere, Texas, on a kind of farm, kind of, zombie apocalypse. That's where you'd want to be, a place. Miss Roseanne Barr. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Nice to be with you guys.
What time
Russell, it's no big loss because I cannot understand a fucking thing that guy says anyhow.
Nobody does, but we just nod occasionally
Yeah, we
and
just
we
nod.
make him
When
feel
he
good.
pauses, we laugh.
Exactly. And of course, the lovely and talented, also broadcasting legend, Sage Steele, who's always here, whose lipstick looks rather spectacular right now. Very
Oh.
bright.
Her nails, I love the color.
Oh, thank you.
I
am
love
I
it.
too close to the camera? I got to back up if you can see the lip color. I'm actually in Florida. Roseanne, this is the 4th show we've done, and it's the first time I've been home. I'm so excited, and as soon as we're done, I'm jumping right back in that bed.
That's cool. Yeah, me too.
I thought you were going to say you're jumping right back in that ocean. That might be nice, but okay,
That too.
the bed works. Roseanne, you're in the middle. You're outside of Austin. That's all I'll say. But you're in sort of remote Texas.
Texas Hills, yeah.
You fled California like I did, and now you're just living the life over there. You got your kid, and you got your grandkid, and you're just wandering around with your white wine and your cigarette, and it seems to be working for you.
Yeah, and I'm mowing the grass on my tractor, and I got hit. I hit a tree and it crashed down. It was about 100-pound limb fell on my head. That's why I got all these bruises. But I lifted this big old tree trunk off of my tractor by myself, age 72. It weighed about at least 100 pounds. It took me an hour, inch by inch, to get it off there. But I'm still strong as an old Russian ox.
You sent me a text in all caps that a tree just fell on my head, and I honestly didn't know if you were being serious or not. And I was like, okay, a tree fell on Roseanne's head. I didn't know if it was like, oh, I better call emergency services or what.
No, and then 2 days later, that big one fell on me.
Wow,
my.
so you're really...
I got this big gash here with my rainbow Band-Aids that my granddaughter said, those are my Band-Aids. I said, well, they're mine now, bitch. Anyway, so 2 days later, I hit another tree, and I was afraid Jake could get mad at me because I'm always hitting trees, and then branches tear off of the tractor. So I go, shit, I got to lift this off. I can't let Jake know. They're going to put me in a home, which they want to do and take over my money. So I knew I had to move it off there. And so I said this prayer, God, you better help me get this off here. And I got it off and flipped it. Not only moved it, but flipped it. I'll text you the picture of the big old log. At least 100 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I'm starting to think white wine and tractor riding don't mix.
Well, I wasn't even drinking. I was only on Adderall.
That also may not mix, but I leave that to your therapist. All right, let's dive in. You guys know the rules. We're all going to take a shot at a couple topics and a little bit in our personal lives and all that good stuff. And that's where I'm going to start because you may note that I'm once again in a hotel room. Have I done one of these? I did one of these from home, I think, already, but I've been bouncing around. I am in Budapest, Hungary right now. I'm here for CPAC, and I did a live Rubin report in front of a couple hundred people last night at the Danube Institute, which was awesome. Let me throw to a little 30-second video, my guys put together when I was walking across the Danube River, and it's just... everything they say about this place, it's far right and they're racist and mean and it's all nonsense. It's lovely. And take a look. All right, here we are in Budapest, also known as Budapest, as the locals say, and we're crossing the Danube River right now. There's the Parliament building, which is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. It's one of these things that you can't believe that people used to make things like that. It's a beautiful day out. The air is perfect and crisp, but it's clean, it's pleasant, it's buzzing. There's just a feeling of, I don't know, safety, and there's really no homeless people and drugs and vagrants and migrants and all the other ants and things like that. So it's really, really nice. We're going to head to CPAC tomorrow. We're doing an event with the Danube Institute, and I'll be talking to all sorts of people. You might have heard of this Ben Shapiro guy and Rod Dreher and Pete Boghossian. It's going to be a little bit of a European Rubin Report reunion. More in a bit. They tell you that this place, and Viktor Orbán, who I met with, who's the prime minister, they tell you it's this like far right evil place where everyone's mean and it is so pleasant here. Now, I'm only in Budapest, so I haven't wandered through the whole country, but it's a tiny country in Central Europe. There's less than 10 million people that live here. But it's just, it's like what I think American cities probably used to be that I can barely remember anymore, where you could, very different than Roseanne, when I saw you in Austin a couple of weeks ago, or I was in Austin and then I went to you and there were just homeless zombies everywhere, drug addicts everywhere. Here all night long, my guys, we finished up the show. We walked back, half-hour walk through Budapest, middle of the night. We're not even sure where we're going. And it was completely safe. And it's clean and lovely. And Sage, we've talked about this a bunch, that what's going on in the cities here, and it's just so different here, and it's just great. And that's why I'm here, because they're doing CPAC here to show that it doesn't have to be this way in these other European countries.
Well, they describe it as like a far right city almost, don't they? Where people like you belong. First of all, I never even considered visiting there. I still haven't chosen my honeymoon location. Should that be on my list?
I mean, it depends what you want. Like, if you want like beaches and sunshine and that's more my style, then maybe it's not the place. But if you want just loveliness and history and
I mean, we live at the beach, right? So I feel like I should go change things up. But I never would have thought of it. It's beautiful. And if you don't have the zombie apocalypse going on, I'll add it to the list. But it's so funny. I was talking to my brother about this. He's in West Hollywood. He has not yet escaped California like you two have done. And he's on the verge because of it. I just wonder, can we get our cities back to this? Like the bigger cities, is it possible to return to a place like where you are now?
I mean, Roseanne, you're outside of Austin. I was shocked when I went to Austin because years ago when I would go to San Francisco, every time I walked in, I was like, my God, you're going to get stabbed with a needle, or a fentanyl addict's going to assault you or whatever. I didn't realize Austin was as bad as it was. Everyone says the same thing. Oh, it's only in this like 8-block radius or something. But I can see why you live outside of the city.
Well, it's a blue city. And, blue cities, when I first pulled up to Austin to go work at the comedy areas there, the first thing I saw was homeless Black people under the bridge. And I told my son, there's how you know it's a blue city. And what I mean by that is that it's a racist war on Black people and a class war, too. That's what it mostly is. But homeless Black people and just homeless people in general are big business for the Democrats. For every homeless person, that's about 10 jobs for, the clerks, the clerk class, to spy on them and, observe them and report back. I mean, help them. And, it's big business. Poverty is big business for the Democrat Party. And, they farm people and, make sure to keep them out of the economy so they can create an economy on their back and then send them to prison or, whatever other useful thing they have in order to farm them and keep them in those ghettos and keep them on that big old Democrat plantation.
It's just crazy to me because, as you said, Austin is basically the one blue spot, city, really big city in Texas. And that is the place where this is happening.
Well, it's not by accident because the Democrat thing is a pyramid Ponzi scheme, which USAID proves. And I'm so happy that it was proven because everybody's called me crazy as I have said these things for 30 years, or more.
You have been saying a lot of this stuff for a long time. I mean, you ran for president, which people don't remember, but it was a fantastic documentary. I went to one of your events and you were saying all this. Wait, what year was that? That was 12. Oh, so that was before Trump even. Yeah.
Right. I ran against Obama because I realized that he was really pushing that, people as prey, the citizens as prey of the government. It's communism is basically what it is. And what they do is they create a dependent class that they then starve to death, just like Mao did.
And one of the best things is that Obama's own city, the city he loves so much, is a disaster. And I feel like in some ways people in Chicago are starting to figure it out. It's so hard though to change 50 ways of thought process that Republicans are evil and racist. But you see it more and more at school board meetings, even in the Windy City. So I do have, that's the glass half full. I do have hope, especially now that people are seeing the other side and that no, people who are center or center right don't hate you because of your skin color, despite what the Democrats are trying to preach.
Yeah, you know that guy. I mean, the mayor of Chicago. You guys know this guy, Brandon Johnson. I mean,
Oh,
he is a genuine racist. Like he's literally
yes.
telling people that he's hiring city workers based on their skin color and giving contracts out based on skin color. I think we covered it earlier in the week. Hopefully, I'm getting the numbers right. 41 people were shot in Chicago this weekend. 9 killed. 9 killed, and it's like, okay, man. Doesn't matter what skin color they are. You might want to do something about this.
But the fact that they've been ignoring that every single weekend, it's almost double digits every single weekend for the last 15, 20 years, that people are killed, usually south side of Chicago, and they all are Black people.
Right.
Literally, all of them are Black people. Didn't he on Monday, on Memorial Day, instead of acknowledging Memorial Day, call it Africa Day and celebrate Africa? Yeah, the racism is disgusting.
It's mind control of captive populations, and then they can get you to take the shot that makes you sick, and they also own the treatment centers. It's just a yank. It's farming people as products. It's sickening. It's communism mixed with fascism. It's like Hitler and friggin' Stalin mixed together with mullahs.
We got reverse communism where I am right now because they were hit by the Nazis and by the communists. That's the interesting part of Hungary, right? They were occupied twice by communists and by Nazis. So now they've got Viktor Orbán, who Rachel showed the video when I spent an hour with him with a couple other people. And this guy, he's basically their Trump. Everyone says he's all these horrible things. I spent an hour with the guy. It's the second time I've met him. He was so thoughtful and interesting, explained philosophy and history, all of these things. And it's like they just say the worst things. I also gave a speech at CPAC in front of a couple thousand people, which was pretty great. And it's just a place of freedom. And it's like, man, this is the one place you guys will love this one. This is something I learned about Hungary while I've been here. So, they closed their borders, right? So EU opened up their borders. They've just had, quite literally millions of people pour into their borders. So they have all of the problems that we have because of that. But it's worse here because their borders all are on top of each other. Because Hungary closed their borders, they are fined every day by the EU for defending their borders. That's it.
Mhm.
€1 million. So they
What?
every year now have to pay 365 million euros to the EU just so that they can remain a sovereign nation. Yeah.
I had no idea. That is criminal. Okay, can Trump
is criminal.
somehow share up everybody to make sure that changes? That's insane.
Well, the crazy part is, they figure out ways of rationalizing it. They rationalize it because they want to keep their country. Everyone calls them racist, and they're just like, hey, we're here for Hungarians. And Roseanne, you mentioned right before we started something about the Jewish population here. There's 100,000 Jews here. I met a whole bunch of them, including the chief rabbi. They are safe here. They are happy here.
It's the only place Jews are safe in Europe.
Literally in Europe. It's way different in France and UK.
You think that American Jews are going to end up moving there? I wonder.
America, Hungary, and Israel are probably going to be the big three.
Dave, how warm is it there? Tell me the average temperature.
It's been absolutely beautiful. I'm wearing a long sleeve right now, but it's perfect out. And coming from Florida where we're hot and humid all the time, it's been absolutely like whatever you would say perfect is, like 70, exactly 71. Yeah. Little
Okay.
crisp and pleasant
I
and
love
nice.
it there, and I also love Prague. Well, those are the two cities you should go to on your honeymoon because you will find history that we don't get here in America.
Well, Sage, I'm throwing it to you right now. So why don't you start by telling us what your honeymoon options are? What about a Hungary-Prague operation?
I have no idea, and I'm getting married in 3 months. I literally have no idea. This is how I roll, Roseanne, just like last second everything. What the hell?
Roseanne, can you rent her the nut farm in Hawaii?
You can go there if you want, but I mean, it's basically a glorified trailer. But I mean, it is gorgeous for the views and the land. It's gorgeous. You can go there.
You know, she has a macadamia nut farm in Hawaii. That wasn't a joke.
Really?
Yeah, you
Really,
can
really?
you can go there if you want.
I didn't know you had a macadamia nut farm.
Oh yeah.
I think it's fun. I know you have a casita right there in Texas. I think it'd be fun to just come hang there. I'll drink wine with you. You
Come
can
on
smoke the
down. Oh hell yeah, it's gorgeous down here. Hell yeah.
My fiance loves you. So I
Oh
think
nice. Well, bring him too on the honeymoon.
yeah, I thought about it. I don't know. Let's see how he behaves. We'll see. Okay, I'm excited to hear everyone's take on this as I start my little segment, but especially Roseanne. And for the record, I'm so happy that you're here, Roseanne. And I know it's early in Texas, but we need to have you on more often. I mean, when she starts off the show the way that she did, talking trash about Russell Brand, I'm like, bring it. I love having you. Okay, both of my major topics have to do a lot with the city of San Francisco, and that's a total coincidence. It's just that the brilliant people there are making news, making headlines in some unique ways this time. This first one, did you hear what's going on in the San Francisco Unified School District, the public school district in the city of San Francisco? It blew up this week, and there has been some news on it, so I'll set it up with the subject, basically what it is, and then there has been progress. But first of all, it's called Grading for Equity, Roseanne. And what they do is, you can see this, but basically they are dropping all standards to make sure everybody feels good. It's called Grading for Equity. So basically, if you get a B, that is now an A. An A can equal 80%. For a C, it's now basically you're taking an F and making it a C. You can get as low as a 41% on a test and still get a C. Again, to make everybody feel better. That's for finals. Your tests, they don't even grade the tests anymore. When it comes finals time, you can retake them as long as you want. And it doesn't matter if you're not there. Like, you don't even have to attend because, people of certain races and backgrounds don't realize, apparently, the importance of actually attending. So we are lowering the standards in every aspect. I will clarify, the reporter in me, this blew up this week. It blew up to the point that the new superintendent, Maria Sue, she came out and said, okay, hold on, fine, we'll wait on this, because they were going to test it and then implement it in the fall. So that's the good news for me. Despite this insane attempt at a policy, the good news is that a lot of people spoke up. Yes, they got crushed on social media, but even some Democrat politicians in the crazy state of California came and said, this is going a little bit too far. So the lesson I take from it is, everybody out there, when you don't like what's going on in your school district or in your town or in any way, you have to speak up.
That's right.
Like, you got to have big mouths like us. There's no more excuses for living in fear, because now they've actually scaled this back and put these attempted changes on hold, right? So don't we have to keep being loudmouth?
Yes, we do. And that is our duty as Americans, to take back our government, because this is our government. This is the government we send our children to fight and die for. It's ours. It's not a bunch of elites, people that sneer down at us and think, oh, well, we're going to, we want to keep you ignorant so we can farm your organs and send them to Bill Gates to sell to McDonald's for his hamburger meat. I mean, it's just so corrupt and so evil. And it's up to the people to take our government back. So I'm happy to hear it. People have a lot of time on their hands to do a lot of stupid things, but they neglect their duty as citizens of this country, which is a representative government, to do their duty for the next generation. And I think they might be waking up to that fact. After, we got Trump in there and everybody said it was impossible, but we did it. And we just have to do it at the local level, because the local level is universal. And that's where it has to start and end. So I'm happy to hear that. That's great to see that, people have woke up. I hate to use the word woke, but to the fact that they're going to push it as far as they can because they think our silence is consent.
Yes, that's it. That's absolutely what it is. They think the silence is consent, and if you're silent, you're just going to allow them to keep moving the bar further and further. But what a perfect example of the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Like, let's go on the assumption that the people doing this have good intentions. I'll
They don't
grant.
know.
So I can make that argument too. But if I'm just some brain broken, really far left progressive San Francisco public education person, let's try it, right? So if their intentions are good, you really can see why the road to hell is paved with them, because not only you're punishing everybody here, you're punishing the kid who, by giving him higher grades than he deserves, he's now not going to be qualified for things as he goes on the adventure of life. He won't know math as he tries to get this. And then you'll also get him a job easier, or you let him into college easier, or anything else. And next thing you know, we have planes falling out of the sky. That's literally
But that isn't
road.
what happens. I think what happens is that kid that's, you know, they're destroying that kid's life. That's what
Right.
they're doing at the elemental level. And then what happens is that kid gets the big smackdown. He doesn't go on to become a pilot. I mean, that's just a chosen few. But that kid gets the big smackdown the first time he goes out of the bubble. He gets a beat down, and then he just gives up and gets on drugs and ends up in, prison or in trouble, because it's like, wow, my everything was a lie. I was protected, I was lied to, and it was all a setup. And it is a setup, and none of their intentions are good. I was loving that they were saying they were going to abolish the Board of Education, because that's nothing but a bunch of activists.
Yeah.
They hear nothing about, they give up their authority to educate these kids because they don't give a damn about those kids. They don't even think those kids are human. They're racist to the core because the communists are racist. They don't give a damn about any children or any citizens. They only care about power for themselves. And that's what's disgusting.
Linda McMahon, who took over the Department of Ed, who's a billionaire, she was married to, or is married to Vince McMahon, who created at the time, it was the WWF, now WE, or it was his dad that created it. But, I loved her line when she got the job. She's like, I took this job to put myself out of work, meaning I'm going to blow up this thing and then go back to my other job. But you're totally right, Roseanne. You're right. Some will skate through, right? So you're going to get some that will get the easier grade, the easier admission, the easier job, et cetera, et cetera. But you're right, actually. The bigger issue is that more kids will then be cheated out of the things in life. And there are studies on this where some of these kids get into colleges that they shouldn't get into. And then they're around all of these really bright kids, and then they're frustrated, they're anxiety ridden, they're angry, and the rest of it. And then the other part, real quick, is that you're punishing people on both sides. So you're punishing people on the bottom by artificially elevating them, but then you're punishing the kid on the top who busts his ass, works hard, and now you're saying, okay.
The goal is to destroy genius. That's their ultimate goal. So, so many of these kids are brilliant. I mean, they have to make another way besides the regular economy. So they have to have an underground economy, and they end up millionaires and billionaires too, because they're that brilliant. But if they were educated properly and came into the larger economy, which that's what America's about. And so they want to destroy that too, so they can isolate everybody, and none of the people can coalesce and question the government itself. We have no power because we can't unite, because we're being farmed to fight amongst ourselves and keep them in power, because divide and conquer, that's what they like. And anyway, the whole education system has nothing to do with the children. It's about the teachers' unions, and they just hire pedos and perverts that want to stick their wieners in everyone's face and talk about their genitals 24/7. It's gotta go. It has nothing to do with the kids. They write off entire generations of Black kids. They don't give a damn. And the Black people who speak for that are paid. They're paid well to deny and turn in their own, just like the Jewish people in America are paid well to deny and turn in their own. That's how they got it all sewed up. The only way for a minority to rise in America is turning in your own. It's that despicably fixed.
And that is why, Roseanne, I was so thrilled. And I got to sit down a month or two ago with Linda McMahon for a few minutes and talk about it because, of course, she gets crushed and they're throwing away. They don't care about kids, dismantling the Department of Education. This is the exact reason why. And to not teach CRT and to not teach, having sexualized books in the schools. To wrap up that, I'll say this as well. I agree. Spread the wealth. Let's make everybody equal. Bring down the standards like affirmative action, maybe well-intended at first, but what happened from that was devastating. And the COVID. Guys, San Francisco's district, like many others in major cities, was shut down for a year and a half. These kids are already behind because of those insane policies from before.
Right.
And now it continues.
Right. So you take them
pray for San Francisco. And the other topic I was going to say that we don't have time to get to, also in San Francisco and New York City, keep an eye on this in the month of June because that is Pride Month, right? Like everybody's down. Advertisers are not giving as much money to these pride groups in all these major cities. They're scaling back in every way.
Good.
Nobody cares about your sexuality.
Corporations are saying, you know what? No, we're not going to shove the flags in our employees' faces as much either. At the end of the day, this doesn't mean we're anti any of the letters in this, LGBTQ plus IA, XYZ. We're not anti. We just think we're all equal. And by the way, we have an entire month of Pride that, again, is getting hit hard financially. For this upcoming month, but we still only have a day for veterans. We can continue that at another time, but I think people are finally getting the hint, and I love it. So keep an eye on that during this Pride Month.
I go with before a fall.
Sage, do you know who had the first gay kiss on network television?
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
Take a wild guess. Wild guess.
Miss Barr, do you care to answer?
I think she can answer it.
Yeah.
Right now, it was Miss Barr.
Yes. Yes, I did so. Because at that time I have two gay siblings, a lesbian and a gay, and brother and sister, and of course you would figure that out, brother and sister. But anyway, and I saw them hurt in their life. And so, my intention at the time was to say, hey, they're both parents, and they were parents at the time. And I just had enough of it. And I wanted to show that these are normal people. And I mean, normal, I say normal, they're Jewish and neurotic. So, but anyway, and at that time, that was a shocking thing to show gay people as normal with flaws and, all the other stuff, human. But now, I was concerned when they added the whole trans thing because I thought, oh my God, this is not going to go well for gays and lesbians and
that wasn't even added.
Huh?
Like for Pride Month and stuff. That the LGBTQ, like the trans and all the queers, part of the acronym there wasn't added until 2009.
I know, and I was so worried then because I go, my God, the gay people have fought for centuries to prevent them getting lynched for being called pedophiles, and now they've hooked up with people who are into that. The trans theory is, based on a pedophile. A pedophile wrote it, and it always involves children. I mean, why don't they go show their wiener to old folks' homes? They have to have children involved because they want to destroy all sexual limitations for themselves because they're libertines, and the age is part of it. But I never thought they should have gone that way, and I think it's been destructive to the whole movement. But, sometimes anything the left gets involved with, they destroy. They destroyed labor unions. They destroy every movement. They destroyed the Department of Education because communism doesn't work, and it isn't going to work in America.
Well, it's baked into the word, right? The left never knows when the left goes too far because they're progressives, which means they just want to progress. But you don't want to progress if there's a ravine in front of you. You might want to stop, turn around, or think about it.
Or say,
Again,
it's good enough.
Right.
It's good enough. Because America is good enough in so many ways. Of course, we're not all going to become billionaires, but I mean, comfortable and happy. It's good enough.
Comfortable and slightly disgruntled would be good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roseanne, we need to hear your topics. I've been thinking, Dave, I know you have too. What the heck is Roseanne Barr going to choose to
What is
discuss?
she going to bring to this program?
Well, being a bitter old Jewess of age 72, of course, I'm obsessed now with the soul of America and how it is, a based on Judeo-Christian values and all that entails. And to me, it boils down to, equality for all persons, one law for all, and women's rights. And so I'm pretty devastated to see the Islamist, getting Islamicized here. It's like normalizing anti-Semitism, and I'm seeing it everywhere. And that concerns me, and why I say, hey, how is it over there in Hungary? Because, shooting people that work in the Israeli embassy, bringing intifada into the United States. And, I believe Obama started that. That's why I ran against him, because I knew what he was up to. And, he brought it here, and, he's got a host of ops of other communists, and they're in our government, they're in the State Department, uh, the Muslim Brotherhood and all that stuff, the lovely gifts they brought to Egypt and Iran with the Iran deal, destroying the rights of women there, which was what my tweet was really about. Valerie Jarrett being the author of both of those revolutions against working people and women's rights. And pro-MOLA, I mean, I don't even know how America doesn't know that, but they don't. And it just seems to be moving along and getting more normalized. And so, of course, as a young girl, I was raised in an apartment house that my grandparents owned, and they sponsored Holocaust survivors. And I grew up in that apartment house with people who had numbers tattooed on their arms. And I used to say, "What's that for?" And this Mrs. Rose, she said, "That's my phone number." She didn't want me to know, but of course, I heard all their horror stories as a child, and I took a vow that I would fight it. I would fight racism, I would fight fascism, and every other kind of ism that had my people or any people as a target, because that's not a good system of government at all. And the target moves. So what starts with Jews never ends with Jews. It goes on to Christians, and then it ends up like Pol Pot, people who wear glasses. They always have to be killing. That's why the hammer and sickle is red. It depends on blood. And, I just won't have it. For as long as I'm here, I'm going to fight it. No matter what they do to me, I'll continue to fight it, because I believe in God. I'm a Jew, and I believe in God, and that's what God wants me to do. And so I'm doing it. And I'm very concerned and so happy that Trump is thinking about and speaking about cutting the funds of Harvard, which is a Nazi university. And it has its roots in Nazism, because it was an MK Ultra university. And MK Ultra is Nazi mind control, brought here to America in Operation Paperclip, which you can Google. I don't want to go into it too much, but they brought the Nazis from Nazi Germany over here to take over our different things, the space program, the medical association, many things. And then they used the children here to continue their Nazi medical experiments on. They did it to a lot of Black orphans. And Fauci was one of them. He did experiments on Black orphans and puppies. And there he sits, on his throne, infecting everybody. But, there's a lot of Nazism going on in our deep state on all around the world. And I always spoke out about it, and people called me crazy. And I was so thrilled when USAID was exposed, because that's what they are, NGOs that are, me as a Jewish American taxpayer, my tax money, it was exposed through USAID stuff, goes to NGOs that go through the UN to pay for slay, where Gazans, Hamas run Gaza, that's UN, UNRWA run Gaza. The only job those people can get is to kill a Jew and get paid for it and have, a stipend for the rest of their life. Pay for slay, you can look that up too. But my tax dollars are going to kill my family in Israel, and all under Democrat fascism. And, then they're going to act like they have the high moral ground, and it makes me sick, and it's satanic, and I'm going to talk about it. And so I love that Trump is saying that, but I want to say too that 51% of Muslims, I believe, love Jews. And it's only a small percentage of them that are on a jihad kick, but that's still 250 million. But they believe that, like Hitler, that there should be no Jews anywhere. And they let them into America, and they let them come to the universities, and that's what they teach. The universities are infected, and they're teaching people how to hate Jews with my tax money.
Well, not much longer, because I think we've got a clip from Secretary Besson on what we're doing with Harvard. And Roseanne, you'll be happy to know they will have a little less of all of our money.
President Trump said a while ago, posted actually on social media, that they were in the process of removing the tax-exempt status from Harvard. There's been a lot of issues with Harvard, but that's one that comes within your bailiwick. Where is that process right now?
The president is moving forward with that, and we're also looking at taxes on endowments. And I think the important thing here, and it goes a little bit back to this Main Street versus the elites, that Harvard, to have a tax-exempt status, there are rules you have to follow. And if you're not following the rules, no one's above the law. So we will see if they're following the rules. It looks like there's a substantial number where perhaps they weren't.
It's so interesting because, they'll tell you that Trump, because he's a billionaire, is an elite, or Besson has a lot of money, he was a hedge fund guy, that he's an elite. But you can see what a real elite is. What a real elitist are the people that have the $54 billion endowment in Harvard while they're getting tax cuts and tax rebates and tax exemptions to do all of the racist shit that Roseanne just laid out right there. And basically, they want to discriminate against whites and Asians and Jews to let other people in. You don't solve past discrimination by current discrimination. All the other nonsense that's been going on college campuses, Trump's just had it. Trump's the reverse of an elite. And frankly, I don't think a school that has a $54 billion endowment, which is basically a giant hedge fund, Sage, I don't think they need more of our money.
Yeah, I think I told you this before, Dave. Roseanne, I just had my oldest graduate from college, and I have two currently in college still. And I lived in the Northeast. I lived in Connecticut. So a lot of these Ivy League schools are the schools that all kids up there look at if there's a chance they can get in. And I told my kids, I will not pay for your education if you stay in the Northeast quadrant. I will not. Unless you want to get a bunch of student loans, go for it. But otherwise, not just to avoid, this chaos, but to experience other people, other cultures, open your mind. Not everybody thinks like this, like they do up in the Northeast. And this is the reason why I think that would be the last place I would send my child if they could get in. I certainly couldn't have. But then you look at the speeches by the students there over the last couple of days as well, and it is another level of hatred. My question is, when will they say mercy? When will
Never.
Never. I agree.
I guess if you don't have to because of that kind of endowment, but fine. Let's go for it, because they keep doubling and tripling down on this, which tells me that, yes, Roseanne, there is true hatred in their hearts.
Mhm.
Because why would you allow this to continue, and encouraging your students to continue to crush other people, to hate Jewish people?
Well, because what they really hate is America. And
Yes.
so that's what they want to destroy. You know, that's their every thought is we've got to get rid of this constitutional republic. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. When in fact, it's the best thing that's ever happened to it. Representational government is the best thing that's ever happened. But they hate that. They hate that because they only believe in the state, which is them, and power. But what happens is for every action, there's a reaction, which they don't know. They don't understand cause and effect because they think they are cause, and they're not. They're actually effect. But here's what's going to happen, and is happening. Employers are not going to hire people from Harvard. So I love it because, God always finds a way to correct evil. He has to, because he's intelligence itself. So it will always self-correct. And that is the best thing that could happen is big companies go, we can't take the miseducated.
And also, I mean, enrollment is down big time throughout Ivy League schools, and they're all coming south down where I am. I have a daughter in the SEC and another kid that's in school in North Carolina. When the parents start to say, let's not send our kids there, that means less money being donated to the university. And so, yes, the domino effect, I think, is our only hope. And it's a good thing.
It is happening. So it's so great. The self-correction of intelligence, they never factor that in. They never do.
I love that, Roseanne. I love that. That's because that's it. That's probably the baked in code into why evil does not win in the end. It gets wins, but it doesn't always win, no matter how bad we think things can get, because there's something about the basic fundamental part of being human that causes enough of us to reject it.
Yep.
Yeah, because evil is stupid. That's its nature. It's stupid.
That's another way to say it.
Stupid things. Otherwise, it wouldn't be evil.
Wait, I think Russell may have literally, as we have about 30 seconds left, I saw a message that Russell appeared. Should we? All right, Russell's going to come in. I got to get to the airport, man. Is Russell Brand here? All right, we thought we had Russell. He popped in for a second. He disappeared. That is I would say a fairly spectacular episode. Bizarre, and with the boxes weren't exactly even. And, we had Roseanne.
I just saw him at Mar-a-Lago with Mike Tyson. I just saw Russell down there, and I go, Russell, now that you have children, you might want to button your fucking shirt up a few buttons there.
What a weird timeline that we all live in, that Roseanne Barr, Mike Tyson, Russell Brand are showing up to the president's house in Florida.
It was a fun night.
Roseanne, can you bring us home with an impression of Russell Brand since he wasn't here?
Oh my God.
Goodbye.